If you've been scrolling through endless espresso machine reviews, watching videos that promise the perfect shot and still feel stuck between a sleek, pricey countertop model and a budget-friendly entry-level unit, you're not alone. The market is crowded, the jargon is confusing, and the fear of spending a lot of money on a machine that ends up gathering dust is very real. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'm going to walk through the Espresso Mozzafiato FASTR the way a home barista would experience it day to day, so you can decide whether it actually makes sense for your kitchen. First off, let's acknowledge the hesitation most people feel when a brand like Rocket shows up. They're known for boutique-grade machines that you often see in specialty coffee shops, which automatically raises the question, do I need that level of precision at home? The Mozzafiato FASTR sits in that sweet spot where a serious hobbyist can finally own a machine that isn't a hand-built, custom order, but it also isn't a plug-and-play starter kit. The review here will focus on the hidden trade-offs: what you'll love, what will frustrate you, and where the real value lives beyond the glossy spec sheet. Who should buy this? If you're someone who already pulls a decent shot with a basic machine, can grind beans fresh, and wants to start dialing in temperature and pressure to chase espresso shop quality, the Mozzafiato FASTR will feel like an upgrade you can actually use. It's also a good fit for small space apartments that can accommodate a 1.8-liter heat exchanger boiler without sacrificing a lot of counter real estate. On the other hand, if you're brand new to espresso, can't spare the time to learn PID curves, or you only make a cup or two a week, you'll probably find the learning curve and maintenance demands more trouble than they're worth. Let's talk about the daily routine. Turn the machine on, and the larger heating elements kick in. Most users report that the machine reaches brewing temperature in roughly 3 to 4 minutes, a noticeable improvement over older Rocket models that could take 5 or more. That speed matters if you're juggling a morning commute and a quick espresso before work. The heat exchanger design means you can pull steam for milk frothing while the brew water stays at the right temperature, so you don't have to wait for the boiler to cool down after steaming a latte. In practice, that translates to a smoother workflow. You grind, tamp, pull a shot, switch the steam knob, and your milk texture is ready in the same window. Temperature stability is where the PID really shows its teeth. The electronic controller monitors the boiler's heat and makes micro-adjustments to keep the brew water within a narrow band, typically plus or minus 1 degree Celsius. For a coffee lover who's noticed that a few degrees can change the flavor profile from bright and citrusy to muted and bitter, that level of control is a game changer. It also means you can experiment with lower brew temperatures for lighter roasts without constantly guessing. The downside is that you need to spend a few minutes learning how to set the PID, and the interface isn't as intuitive as a single-dial machine. You'll find yourself tweaking numbers in the first week, but once you lock in a temperature that matches your bean, the shots become remarkably repeatable. The rotary pump is another subtle but important feature. Unlike vibratory pumps, which can be noisy and sometimes struggle to maintain consistent pressure, the internal rotary pump on the FASTR runs quietly and delivers a steady 9-bar pressure without the rattling you might hear on cheaper models. In real terms, this means you won't be startled by a sudden pump whine while pulling a shot, and the pressure curve stays flat, helping you avoid under-extraction that often shows up as sourness. The trade-off is that rotary pumps are a bit more complex to service, and if something goes wrong, you'll likely need a professional technician rather than a simple DIY fix. Now for the practical strengths that matter after the box is opened. The Mozzafiato's case design beveled side panels and a matte black finish doesn't just look good, it also hides fingerprints better than a glossy stainless steel finish, which is a small but nice convenience for a kitchen that sees a lot of hand-to-hand contact. The built-in shot timer, a modest LED display next to the brew group, helps you keep an eye on extraction time without having to reach for a phone. You'll quickly notice whether you're pulling a 25-second espresso or a sluggish 35-second one, giving you immediate feedback for adjustments. Finally, the fast heat-up time combined with the heat exchanger means you can alternate between espresso and milk drinks without a noticeable drop in temperature, a real perk for households that like to serve both straight shots and cappuccinos in the same session. No machine is perfect, and the FASTR has a few practical weaknesses to weigh. First, the size. The unit sits on a fairly large footprint, and the 1.8-liter boiler adds weight, so moving it even a